Welcome back, everybody. It was a good face. It was nice. Thanks for that.
I pride myself on my face.
It's a good returning from break face. Cool. All right, let's do bonds. So we've learned who our characters are. Let's find out how they interrelate. So the way that bonds work, depending on your character, you will have a number of you'll have a number of slots with which to fill using the other player's character's names. These are declarative statements about the way your character thinks or feels about that character, and it has a mechanical use in that whenever you attempt to help or hinder, aid or interfere with your companions, you will roll and add or subtract a number of bonds you have with them. So you can have multiple bonds with the same character. If you want to, you can also leave space. You can leave blank ones if you want and fill them in later as you like. And at the end of the session, you'll review your bonds and we'll decide if a bond is no longer relevant, if it's been resolved, if your character no longer believes that. You can mark experience, clear the bond, and you get to write a new one. You get to write in a bond, either another one from your sheet, or you can make up one based on the session. So this is the way that the characters' relationships with each other evolve and grow as we play. So take a look at your bonds if you have not already, and put in names for the other characters, and then we'll go around and we'll talk about them. There might be situations in which you describe a bond, and I will ask for clarification from the person to whom you are bonded.
How many bonds do you want us to?
I mean, fill out all of them if you can.
Just the ones that are there.
Yeah,
sort of
just the
all-
ones that are there on the sheet to begin
Okay.
with. So some of you you'll have 3, 4, or 5, I think, depending
Okay.
on your class. And yeah, just fill
So
out.
I think that Dave already had an idea, he said.
Yeah, do you have your bonds filled out, Dave?
I have all 3 filled out. Yep.
Okay, let's talk about them. What is your first bond?
Right. I don't remember everybody's character names yet.
Okay.
Oh yeah, for the sake of everybody's ease of use, can you in Roll20 change your name to your character, your display name to your character name,
Done and done.
and then yeah, if you hit save, that'll refresh it and you'll have it there. Yeah, there we go. So Sinethel.
Is it? Did it do the thing? Oh, it's over here. Maybe.
Yeah, it's in if you go to the top right and go to the little gear, you can change your display name and then click save name. That way, when you roll, and it'll always pop up on the sheet, that kind of thing.
Aha!
Cool. Okay. All right. So anyway, Emberlash, your bonds.
Okay. I added a little bit of
Okay.
extra flavor to my first bond.
Sure.
Okay.
So, things that grow from dirt are weak. Only that which rises from the ashes of what came before can be truly great. I will teach Sinethel the true meaning of sacrifice.
Oh,
Damn.
no. Okay.
Shit, dude.
Mhm.
All right. Okay. Now, is this something you've been working on for a while, or is this a kind of like master plan you'll eventually unfold all at once?
I think it's a master plan sort of thing. I'm still learning about the swamp elves. They're not something I'd encountered before. So now that we're traveling together, it's like, you want to grow things. I can see potential for that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Life gives gifts to death, and death keeps them. I like it. Okay. Cool. So yeah, growing things is great, but eventually they have to be sacrificed, and you'll teach Sinethel that. But Sinethel doesn't really know that's your plan just yet.
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think I'm aware of this particular plan.
Okay. What's your next bond?
Right. So, I cast something into the fire for Seraphina and still owe them their due.
You
Ah.
cast what into the fire?
Something into the fire.
And you
I
still
think
owe
it's-
me what?
I owe you your due.
My due.
Yeah. So what did
I have a feeling what you may have cast into the
I
fire
was
for
gonna say,
me.
yeah, what did you take to Emberlash to have it cast into the great flame of
I don't know
sacrifice?
if I took anything to him, or as I posed a contract and he fulfilled it.
So you're still due something. You're still owed
Well, I
something
think that it
by
helped him. I
Emberlash.
think that I had him kill my family.
Yep, that's what I was thinking too. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I heard a guy told him to get a contract and I went, ah, like in my head.
Yep. Yeah, I think
Wow.
that I had him kill my family
Oh, you guys are
because
horrible.
yeah, and he sacrificed them to his god, and like I mean, it wasn't just one person; it was a hefty amount of people, so it gave him a lot of power and time,
Okay.
and so he owes me for that.
All right. So what was do you know what the promise was? Like what's the devil's bargain here? What do you still owe? What do you still owe Seraphina?
Oh, I owe her. I think I owe her a position as something greater than human. Something like the proselytizer, the
Right.
herald harbinger of the god of flame, sort of thing.
So you owe you owe her ascension.
Yes.
Yep.
Wow.
I feel like I want more power. I don't necessarily want to be a snake creature, but I do want power.
Right. There are other things you can become. Cool.
Yeah.
And see, I thought I was gonna be the odd. I thought Blue Jay was gonna be the odd one out and the weird people, but it turns out it's me.
She's weird on the inside. Well, it's interesting that you study like undeath and like there's like a whole like phoenix thing going on here, I feel like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean maybe and we can work this out as we go, but like yeah, maybe it's like there's some like messiah figure thing here where you're like, "Oh, maybe she's the chosen one. Maybe if I find the sacred flame and throw her into it, she'll, rise and become an embodiment of my god." And wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. But, you start with burning her house down and killing her family.
Yep.
Excellent. Okay. And then what's your last bond?
Yeah, it kind of ties into that. It's Seraphina has felt the hellish touch of fire, and now they know my strength.
Nice. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so this means I think that ties right into what we were just talking about, right?
Yeah, totally.
The hellish touch of flame. All right, cool. Good. See, now the two of you are like instantly connected, those characters. Let's talk about your bonds. Blue Jay, let's talk about your character's bonds. So, Seraphina, go ahead and tell us your bonds to the other characters. We'll talk about that.
So my first one is this is not my first adventure with Ember Slash. I think that kind of like is self-explanatory. We have a history. We have like ties to each other that aren't just like we met in a tavern sort of stuff. We definitely have a history. And my second bond is
Before you go on to your second bond, so you've been adventuring with Emberlash before. In your most recent adventure, the two of you, maybe with Elf's character, maybe not. What went wrong or unfinished? What's something from your previous adventure that's still like kind of unresolved?
mine and Ember Slash.
Lash, like a whip, not a sword.
Ember Lash.
Yeah.
Not Ember Slash. Okay, Ember Lash.
Ember Slash is his limit break move.
Maybe I think maybe in our previous adventures when we met Sinethel, I think perhaps
So I'm unresolved? Is that what
yeah,
you're
I
saying?
think perhaps our previous, and I don't know if her character probably doesn't know this, but our previous adventure we were with the people that tried to steal
Yeah.
stuff from her, but they double crossed us. And
Right, you're a splinter group from that adventure party.
And-
You're
Oh,
also
no.
hunting them to get your shit
trying
back.
to get revenge, but for a different reason.
Awesome.
I know what we stole as well. We stole some of the swamp elf seeds because I want to corrupt them. So
Oh my
they
god,
Okay.
you want to make fire elves.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay.
But they turned on us and they took them from us.
Oh,
even though
that's so good.
Oh,
All right.
poor swamp elves.
Yep.
Sweet. Oh, that's a real good reason for Elf's character to to leave, right? And like find allies in the outside world and like go after these like bastards who stole things and then you're gonna fight them. Oh my god, that's so good. Cool. Okay. All right. Let's talk about your other bonds.
Okay. My second bond is kind of like not specifically. I sang stories of Sinethel long before I ever met them in person. I think it's more of like her people. I knew about like the swamp elves, and I
So
think that ties into the first adventure.
So you have like mythic swamp elf lore.
I think it's
sort
more
of
like
thing.
mythic druid.
Okay, mythic druid lore.
Like the idea that someone can like shirk their form, and like you were talking about how like that's a region that might have a lot of undead in it as well. So I think that I like definitely am familiar with and have like songs and lore about like your region, and that's like one of the reasons why I wanted to go there.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
That's awesome. And I mean, so is that
Adam's just scheming. I
so
can
good?
see
So well, like Sinethel, is that something that like made you trust Seraphina more? That she like had
Well,
this
the fact that she
inclination?
knows anything about swamp elves besides "ew, they're gross" is like more than I've had for like going into any town up until I met her, sort of thing. So
Cool. Okay. What
definitely, sort of makes her a little more trustworthy.
sweet. What else? What else you got bonds wise?
One of the things was blank is often the butt of my jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a hard time attaching that to a specific person.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to fill out a bond if you don't want to.
Oh, I don't have to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. That's gonna be a blank one for now.
Sure.
And then I'm writing a ballad about the adventures of, I think, just the party in general. Like,
Who's the main focus? Is it
Who's the main character?
Amberla? You can't be
Obviously.
bonded to yourself.
damn it. I think for the sake of Sinethel trusting me, it's going to be about her. About
Yeah.
her brave and heroic quest to save the acorns of her people from these terrible, terrible adventurers.
You know that's still the butt of your jokes thing because
Yeah,
you know
it
you're
is.
cool.
Yeah, you're basically like lying to my face
Yep.
constantly.
Oh
Yep.
my god, you two are awful.
Yep.
Yeah.
The immolator and the manipulatrix.
Yep, that.
Like, yeah,
think-
don't worry, we're gonna make you a hero of your people. I'm writing this song about you, and everything's. We're gonna go on this quest and recover these elf eggs, and then everything will be great. But probably you'll die in a fire.
Yep.
Awesome.
I think that, yeah.
Okay.
But probably you'll die in a fire. Oh, good.
Okay. Any others?
Yeah, the other ones were Emberlash trusted me with a secret.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that secret is just his general, like, Lord of the Flame, have to kill people to keep my power sort of thing.
Is that true, Emberlash? Does Seraphina know of your need to feed the fire?
Yeah, we've got kind of a mutual thing going on. Like I've got the promise to her of something greater, and as part of like showing it, we did the burning of her family, and I told her about me and how I became it. So yeah.
Well, I think that the reason why you still owe me is because you told me that this was something you needed to do. Not just, I want you to kill my family, I'll pay you for it. It's more like, I'm giving you something. Because I wouldn't have known unless you told me that you actually got something out of like burning these people alive, you know? So I think that that's the secret.
Makes sense.
And then the last one was Emberlash doesn't trust me, and for good reason.
Ah, interesting. Emberlash, why don't you trust her?
I think I see the opportunity for her to become a greater asset to my god than I am.
Right. She's the chosen one.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I'm a fancy human lady. What are you talking about?
So
Yeah, I mean,
fancy.
like, you'll be good, you'll be useful to him. unless you're useful to me as a sacrifice to him.
That's true. Yeah.
Right. Totally. I like that.
I definitely agree that looking like a snake creature is not very handy in a lot of situations.
Mm-hmm. poor Sinethel, dweller in the swamp. Tell us of your bonds.
My bonds are Seraphina smells more like prey than a hunter.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
Because she's got that like whiff of I don't know, just fancy living in nice places kind of person, and I don't know how to feel about that.
But you could also maybe want to protect me.
Well, exactly, right? Like, yeah, you're vulnerable, and that's sort of endearing, but also weird when I'm asking for your help.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I totally think that is a manipulated idea. Like, I made you think.
Yeah. The spirits spoke to me of a great danger that follows Emberlash.
You don't say.
What? No.
So how specifically have these spirits spoken to you of this danger?
I've never been very good with the spirits. The spirits talk to, sort of the more shamanic druids that I am. I'm a go out and get back the stuff druid. I'm not a sit in the hut and talk to the spirits druid. So when they speak to me, it's strange and unclear, and I don't interpret it very well. So it is just, as I think, sort of this general feeling of like, that's trouble,
right.
But it's more than just me going, that's trouble. It's the spirits going, yo, that's trouble,
Look out for
as
that
well.
shit. I like that. Okay.
And I have showed Seraphina a secret right of the land.
Okay.
She's talking about writing things about swamp elves and generally improving public opinion through song. I'm okay with showing her some things that swamp elves do, I think.
Yeah. What was this sacred? What's this sacred right?
How much have you asked me about Seraphina, do you think, like, in terms of, like, because you guys are after the eggs too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, how much have you asked me about that?
I think I probably would have known about the fact about how like elves like are born, as it were, like, oh, it's acorns from a tree. But I think I might have asked you about like how you nurture them from like acorn to
like specifically how they are planted and grown.
Like, how do you get it from like, okay, you can just
elf children?
Yeah. Like, I'm very curious about like the. I would have asked you once I learned that you fell for me manipulating you. I would have asked you about like specifically how do you get it from an acorn to an actual.
And I think I shared that with you in terms of the amount of time it takes and how often you have to make sure that there's fresh soil and loam,
the care and feeding of elflings.
The care and feeding of small elf acorns. Yes.
I like it. That was
I'm very
a terrible
curious
mistake.
to Eternal.
I have one more that I don't know who I should put in it.
Okay.
And it is, blank has tasted my blood and I theirs. We are bound by it.
Interesting.
I don't think either of these party members are really blood-tasting, binding kind of people, that I really, because I think I'll leave that one.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, that might be something that happens later.
Yeah, I mean, the important thing is that whether you fill them all out or not, your character has a set number of bonds sort of slots, and then you can fill them either at the beginning or at the end of the session when you check through your bonds to see if they're true.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. So we know, I guess, the sort of core premise of why you're all together, right? You're on this quest to recover some stolen elf seeds. A band of mercenaries has
horrible
mercenaries. A
really rough people.
Band of terrible individuals have stolen from the swamp elves, and I guess, do the two of you know what their original, like, reasoning behind that was? Like, why
I'm
they
assuming
stole it?
we like probably thought that they were just like dumb paid mercenaries and they were just like muscle, and then
So
they
some
freed us.
smarter person paid them to do this?
Perhaps.
So you don't know why. You just were part of the like mercenary company before, and
I think in my mind, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, I think that we paid them to help us get these acorns, and they double crossed us, and so we're feeling just as betrayed as Sinethel, but for different reasons.
right, okay.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if just as betrayed.
No.
So
fair.
someone convinced the mercenaries to turn on you though, for some reason. Okay,
Maybe they paid more.
you can see there's some shadowy antagonist figure forming in the background here. Okay, so someone convinced the company. What was the name of the mercenary company you belonged to?
I mean, I don't think we belong to them. I think we hired them.
Past tense. Yeah. Okay. So you hired them. With the last of your like money?
The last of my family's
Oh my God.
gold that I took when I left.
It's cool. Most teenagers, have a rebellious phase, but you hired a fire demon to burn your family alive, then use their fortune to hire mercenaries to capture elf fetuses so that you could then sacrifice or you could grow your own army of fire elves to serve you in the new dark future in which you're the queen.
Oh my god.
So
When you say it that way.
you're the bad guy in this story. But yeah, so does anybody have a cool name for a mercenary company?
Dave.
I'm only ever going to call it the Band of the Hawk because I've watched too much Berserk. But,
The flaming fist.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the name having to do with fire convinced us that they might be,
Well, and I mean, I guess this is the thing. Like, I was assuming that they were just kind of like a bunch of like neutral like jerks. They weren't necessarily like religious crusaders, or because they wouldn't have turned on you if that was the case.
and maybe they're not, but maybe we just thought it was like a sign from the Lord of Fire that they had this like similar like symbol. And we're like, hey, like that must be a sign. Like we'll just hire those guys. They'll definitely do what we want them to. No worries. Fire gods got it. I mean,
Yeah.
if it was leaving,
They could easily just be something like Phoenix Company.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
okay, there you go, done.
yeah.
And we just saw it like, I don't know, like Dave, would you have been like, oh, this must be my fire lord dude guy talking to me about how to properly.
I think that's possibly more likely from the sounds of things. You're the more superstitious one, so you might have had the idea, and you've got the money. So I'm like I owe you stuff, but I'm also still kind of using you. So you're like, oh yeah,
Oh, you are. Yeah, you don't trust me. That's one of my boss.
I like that Umbra pointed out in chat that of course they're the Phoenix Company because they're the PCs.
There you go.
There's some alternate campaign about how the like adventurers in the Phoenix Company like realized what they were doing was wrong and like tried to turn it around, and now they're being hunted by these monsters.
Yeah.
Very cool. I like that.
Okay, so yeah, I could definitely see that, like, my young, stuck-up, spoiled, noble person is, like, very into the idea of having this Lord of Fire and superstitiously sees, like, this as a sign. Like, oh, yeah, Phoenix, they must be the guys we need. Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Cool. Okay. So the mercenary company that they decided to turn you. So, were you like exiled from the, like, how did it work? Like, did they try to kill you and you escaped, or like how did that conflict resolve? Like, what was it like the last time you saw them?
I think that I wouldn't have wanted to get my hands dirty, so I just told them to go into wherever part of the swamp the, like, eggs were kept, and I'm just, like, hanging out, like, staying as dry as possible, and so they just leave, and I don't know, like, that seems like something that would happen to me.
I think maybe like there was some sort of like great swamp spirit guarding them as like part of a contract with the swamp elves, and we were like, "Yeah, you go in and do that."
Yeah, you guys take care of that.
There
But
was
they
a
led them back to us.
fungal bog monster.
Yes, bog monster.
Yeah, and
Okay.
we had to,
A maternal fungal bog monster.
Sweet.
yeah, and they ended up like somehow luring it to us instead. We don't know how, so we had to fight.
They kited the bog monster onto you and then they left the zone. Dicks.
What jerks?
Okay, cool. So you still bear some of the scars of like your battle with the bog. I like bog matron as a name for that spirit.
Did you kill it?
I mean, the thing is that like,
I love
if
that
we did
awkward
anything-
that awkward pause. That like
if we did anything like that, there would probably like you would probably be able to tell, right?
Well, I didn't see you.
Okay,
I'm not
I don't know if you
necessarily
would
at
know.
home all the time. I'm a druid. I got druid
no,
stuff to do.
I just don't want there to be like you. You still think that we're on your
Yeah,
side.
I think you guys are my team.
We totally did, and then
Did
we
kill
came
it?
to you. Yeah, and then we came to you.
Okay.
And these adventurers came in and they killed your bog thing. And it's just
Okay.
still slightly on fire, and I'm on fire.
Yeah. They killed the
These
bog matron.
adventurers! Oh my gosh! And I was like injured, and I'm like, oh my god! They like I tried to end it, but I'm so weak and little, and
Yeah.
I couldn't. Do
I think the other thing is that like Sinethel hasn't had much experience dealing with like outside people other than swamp elves in her past up until this point.
Mhm.
So when you guys lie to her, she accepts it at face value because she can't interpret it as like you're trying to hide something because that's not a thing that swamp elves do,
Okay.
Right.
you know? So
yeah, so we were
so
like,
even if it were pretty obvious, she would take you at face value if you told her that this is what happened, you know?
okay.
Cool.
So we told you we tried to save your bog matron, and in fact, like we killed it.
So what? I guess like how long ago was that? And I don't mean in terms of like, oh, it was 17 days ago. I just mean like, have you been traveling a long time? Are you very far from the swamp now?
Well, I imagine we had to track Phoenix Company, right? So I've been doing druid tracking techniques through the wilderness and various forms that allow me better senses and things like that. Flying high above and like trying to spot the trail of this group, anything like that. So I'd imagine it's like at least 2 weeks out.
Okay.
Like these guys got a good lead on us, and
We were fighting a bog monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in the order of weeks, but not yet months. Like we're
Yeah.
still on a trail. Like we join us on the trail after we've lied, manipulated, and convinced this swamp elf to help us take our ill-gotten gains back.
under the guise of her getting her people back.
Totally.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's very important to me that you get your babies. Yep.
Yeah, well, because you can't have them otherwise, right? It's not like they're seasonal. It's not like you'd have to wait until the next like birthing or whatever from the great tree. So your people do kind of rely on them. Okay, cool. So you've tracked Phoenix Company to somewhere. They're somewhere where they've like stopped, or maybe they've run into trouble. Where have you tracked them to? Where do we see you? Are you in like a very different biome? Are you in a town? Why don't when we start? I mean, Elf, tell me something about where we see your characters. Like, where have you tracked Phoenix Company to?
I would like to think that it starts with sort of a plain, like a plains sort of area, grasslands and some sparse trees, and in the distance there's a town, maybe a day away, and the start of the scene is me swooping down from above, and before I hit the ground in the form of a vulture, I transform back into my elven form and sort of land gently on my feet. Turn to the others and say, "There's a town not too far. Humans, I think. They probably stopped there."
Do you think that they're meeting whomever they took your? Will we call them acorns? Like, what would we call elf babies?
Acorns is probably the best way to go.
I
Okay.
like seedlings.
Or seedlings, yeah.
Well,
Seedlings?
they're not seedlings yet, right? Because seedlings you
No,
have to
it's-
pull up, and yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Do you think that they're meeting whomever they stole your acorns for?
they could be.
They're elf corns.
Elf corns? That sounds like an elf unicorn.
Sorry.
They could be. They've been through smaller towns. This is the largest one so far, so this could be their destination. Do you know where we are? I don't really know the names of places.
Do I know where we are?
Well, I mean, you are a human. You're a human bard. Why don't you roll? Why don't we have our first roll with your name? Yeah, let's have you spout some lore.
I'm gonna spout some lore, man. What do I do?
Spout lore about the area you're in. So, spout lore. You're consulting your accumulated knowledge about something. You're gonna roll your intelligence.
My intelligence.
Yeah, which is there's a little d20 next to your int. You can just go ahead and click that.
I did so.
Okay, so you got an 8 for your int roll. So on a spout lore, on a 7 to 9, the GM will tell you something interesting, but it's up to you to make it useful. So
Okay.
the area that you're in is, as Elf said, it's a ways away. It's two weeks away from the swamp. I think you're heading kind of like northwest from the swamp, and you're in this kind of like grassy plain. It's rocky. It's been getting colder as you've been following Phoenix Company. It seems they're heading north, and there's a mountain range past this town called. Let's find a good random name. I don't want it to be called Hell Savannah.
Well, if we're taking from your maps, it'll be something like assholes live here. Or
Right. No, I'm using. So there's a Dungeon World supplement called Perilous Wilds that's like full of random tables, and Rick and Harp, a member of the Math Squad, made a online version of it, so I could just like randomly find names for things.
Nice.
It's called the Desolate Peaks.
All right.
And the Desolate Peaks are known for a cluster of like active volcanoes. So there's these 3 volcanoes in the Desolate Peaks that have been dormant for a long time, but have recently, like in the last, I don't know, like 6 years or so, started to kind of rumble and waken. So this whole area has had like earthquakes and stuff happening. So you can see them off in the distance, and there's some smoke kind of like coming from them. And so that's something that's nearby. That's an interesting fact of this place. This town is a mining town, or it used to be. The mines all kind of went dry. They were mining something dangerous. Emberlash, what was this mining town? What did they mine? Why was it dangerous, and why did it mean that the town basically died? Like, why is it a ghost town now?
I think what they actually mined was, I think they were some of the forerunners of like steam power.
Okay.
They harness geothermal energy, and I think they're messing with it, and their magic of it might have something to do with the volcano becoming active again.
Oh, okay. So some kind of like, let's get high fantasy about it. Why not? They're harvesting some kind of like, it's not just coal, but like some kind of magical like coal.
Yeah,
Maybe
like,
when the volcanoes
materia.
too like hot down there for people to survive anymore, so the mining like town dried up because no one can go into the mines without burning up and dying.
Cool. Yeah. Like I figured they were mining some kind of material that it's like unpredictable, but it generates heat, and so all you have to do is like throw it into a big thing of water, and it'll just generate steam forever. But yeah, maybe they caused a chain reaction or something, and so it's like the town itself is unlivable. Probably because they unleashed like not only permanent damaging climate change, but like monsters. There's probably some kind of like magma creatures or whatever that like ruin the town. But the town, that was a long time ago. That was like a generation ago, I think. And this town, which is, it was only ever called the Hole. It's sitting kind of scorched and whatever, mirage hazy, about a day's travel from here. And for some reason, the Phoenix Company, they've set up a camp here. Now, how many strong is the Phoenix Company? We're talking like 100 or like 1,000, or are they like a small kind of like special ops unit of like 30?
I think it's more of a small special ops unit because I don't think I could have afforded. I don't think I could have afforded to hire an army.
So not only a small special ops unit, but a small special ops unit who hasn't had a job in a while, because they'd still cost a lot if they were good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they might have seen this as an opportunity to set themselves up for a while. I think that I would reveal to the party that the town ahead has been abandoned for quite some time. I'm familiar with it and the range of mountains. It is strange that anyone would willingly travel here.
So
It's overrun with creatures.
So this place has no people?
Well, evidently it has some. But the village, the town, the large town, it might have, you should have seen that it was abandoned. Did you see people about? It is known to be
hard to see from so high. Maybe some people, but they might be Phoenix Company.
Yeah, I mean, if you scouted the town, we can say you will have already made a discern realities roll. So why don't we roll and see how well your scouting went?
Sure.
Cool. So closely studying a situation or person, rolling plus wisdom.
Okay.
Okay, you got a 9. So you can ask me one question from the discern realities list, and if you act on the answer, you'll get a +1 on whatever that roll is.
Did the town have anyone who didn't look like they were members of the Phoenix Company, like that I could see from vulture swooping height?
Sure. Yeah. So there's a list of questions that you can ask from, but I'll answer those questions. You can ask me however you want. I'm just going to interpret it based on the list.
There's a list of questions. Okay.
Yeah, but that's okay. You can do it one of two ways. Yeah. Like, these are the questions the GM will answer for you, and if you ask them directly, then I'll answer that question directly. But also, you can just ask a.
I'll ask from the sheet next time.
Yeah, you can just ask a question, and I'll look at the sheet and figure out. I mean, in this case, it's sort of what should I be on the lookout for?
Yeah, what should I be on the lookout for?
Yes. So, so I think that when you were flying about, you saw, not only the banners of the Phoenix Company, their crimson and gold standard having been planted in town to show that they're here. They're kind of ostentatious mercenaries, right? This isn't the Black Company. These aren't like, the gritty kind of Vietnam War era like soldier guys. These are like, this is an order of fairly solid, well-trained mercenaries. So yeah, they came into town. They like cleared an area. They set up camp. You can see some of their tents out. There's like a mess area, but also they seem to have. And you don't know you like this person came from another angle or a different place. You didn't see them. This person wasn't with them before. You saw a cloaked figure, arrive in the camp on a beautiful huge white horse. The horse was taken into the stable area, and this cloaked figure was taken into the commander's tent. So they've rendezvoused with someone here in Hole.
Someone special with them. Someone not with them before. We should hurry and catch up.
I think we should do so, but I think that we should try and remain unseen. I mean, these men took out your matron. They're very strong.
All the more reason to catch them soon rather than let them wait.
Indeed.
Okay, so yeah.
I also looked at Emberlash, like, any input sort of thing.
They are foolish indeed if they think simple things such as stone are going to protect them from our wrath. Our justified, our righteous fury in their treachery. Can feel the heat from below the ground. Perhaps there's something we can use within the town.
Indeed, I think that we will need more than just swords. There are 3 of us and many of them. We should find some higher ground or something to help us. We should see if we can scout out a better vantage point, perhaps.
I give a little sort of like incline of my head and then back up, Vulture. It's this immediate sort of like coalescing transformation that like puts me straight into flight, and I'm up looking around for a vantage point that'll give us closer, but still not absolutely we're gonna fight you. Kind of ideal.
I take this time to turn to Emberlash and
We gotta make a move real quick first.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
there's a move?
Yeah, there's a move. The shape shifting is a move.
Oh yeah.
So
Druid
let's
stuff.
talk about how Druid stuff works. So the Druid in this game, we talked a little bit about your land. You could turn into anything that in this universe would live in a forest or in a swamp. You're turning into your vulture form, and when you do, you're calling upon the spirits to change your shape, and you're rolling plus wisdom. Let's go ahead and do that. Ooh, okay. So Sinithel got a 6. So on a miss, the most common thing that happens is that you don't get the thing you want for some reason. Then we talk about why that might happen. But what it really means is I can make a move. So I just get to decide a thing that happens according to my my moves and my rules for the game. So mark experience, get a point of XP.
Yay!
Good stuff. However, I'm going to say you can transform. So you leave a couple of little hopping muddy vulture footprints on the ground, and then you take off. I'm going to give you 1 hold to spend. Because on a miss, you hold 1 in addition to whatever I say about your shape change. So you change shape, you get hold. You can spend this hold at any time during your time as a vulture to make a move, and we'll decide what the 3 moves are. What are the 3 things that vultures do?
Find dead things.
Perfect. Okay, so find dead things.
I'm not entirely sure. I'm just using it as like a scout, like an eyesight. Flight is a thing, I guess.
Yeah, take flight.
Kind of relevant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You should be able to do like ominous circling or something.
Ominous circling.
Nice.
Yes.
Circle ominously. All right.
People probably take that as like a bad omen. You can just
yeah.
like fly above the camp and they'd just be like, oh shit.
And they just feel like, ooh.
So the reason we do this is that basically every game that I've played of Dungeon World that had a druid in it, by the end of the campaign, the druid's got like a little stack of like index cards with moves on them, because every time you turn into one of these shapes, we define the 3 moves. So as a vulture, you can spend that 1 thing to find find a dead thing, circle ominously, or take flight. And take flight, you can always it's like walking for you, but take flight in this case means get away, fly away from a dangerous situation, or like go somewhere quickly.
Under pressure, take flight.
Yeah, exactly. You're always still like a vulture. So you fly up in the air, and what did you want to do while you were up here? What's your plan?
I was looking for like an area between where they are and where we are to, like Seraphina's been saying, find sort of like a vantage point or a place we can go where we're not necessarily running straight at their camp. You know?
So this sounds to me like you want to ask me what here is useful or valuable to me.
Yes, so that is what I want to do.
Why don't we have you discern realities?
Okie dokie. That's wisdom again, I believe.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go. Aced it. Okay. So you can ask me 3 questions, not just that one, but any 3.
Ooh.
So what is useful and valuable here is the first question.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm looking for a spot we can hide and still see them.
Yeah, so if you were willing to take the time, let night fall and go around the little town, because it's nestled kind of in the hills of these desolate peaks. If you're willing to go around the town, you could start to sneak in under cover of darkness, so you'd have that as an advantage. They'd have the mountains behind them. They can't see out on the plains, right? Because the plains, if you just walk up, they'll see you. So
Yeah, I mean it's like
yeah.
a silhouette, easy.
Yeah, taking
spotted.
a little extra time and having the party move through the hills into the town and through the town into their camp, that'd be the best approach.
Okay.
I'm imagining this town looking like, for anyone who played Final Fantasy VI, kind of like Narsh, the town at the beginning. Less snow, but like, weird pipes coming up out of the ground and like steam and fissures in the earth.
Can I issue the other 2 questions and just because I don't need to ask you anything else. That's what I want.
I mean, there's some pretty cool questions though. Like the what is here is not what it appears to be is a cool question.
I mean, I guess.
What is about to happen is a cool question.
All right. Okay, I'll ask them.
Read the
Fine.
questions.
I am reading the question.
Make Adam make stuff up. Don't eschew.
These aren't your questions,
No,
Blue
they're
Bear.
your questions. But you were gonna
Get out of here. I was. All right. So what here is not what it appears to be, Adam?
So the you notice, and I think that this is because fictional positioning, because you're a druid and you're familiar with animals. There is something about that too perfect white horse. It's not like the way it's moving seems like unreal. Like it keeps doing similar, like it's just standing tied to a post, and it just keeps doing the same thing. Like it just like stamps its foot in the same way and like tosses its mane, waits a few seconds, tosses its mane again, stamps its foot. Like it's not acting like a normal. It's not being like a real horse.
Some kind of simulacrum of a horse.
Yeah, maybe it's like a fake horse. It's like too perfect.
Okay.
And it's like really, really clean, despite the fact that apparently it's been riding for like a non-zero amount of time. Everything in this town has like, I'm thinking like Silent Hill levels of like ash kind of like drifting down from the mountains and from like, mining fissures and stuff. And this thing's perfectly clean. Everything else has like a thin layer of gray soot on it, even after a few minutes. But this, it just doesn't seem to stick. The horse is too perfect.
What should I be on the lookout for?
So as you're circling, your dark feathers against the gray sky, you go unnoticed, right? There aren't a lot of birds in this area, but the Phoenix Company nobody spots you. And even if they do, they wouldn't say anything or no. So you can get pretty close to the town. You can get pretty close to the hole, and you can see. Out of the tent, you can see a familiar looking figure. In fact, were you?
Man.
Well, no, actually, were you present when the Phoenix Company came to your village and like went all Conan on people and were like killing them and taking stuff?
I think I would have been present at the end. Like
All right.
sort of returning as it happened.
So this is your like Thulsa Doom moment. You see, you see the purple fabric of the tent, one of the main tents, like part, and you see the commander of the Phoenix Company emerge.
Okay.
Let's bust out the old fantasy name generator. So let's see, what should her name be? Fantasy names. Okay, here we go. Her name is Zara. She's a general.
General Zara.
Yeah.
I like
You
it.
sure it's not like General Zod or something?
If you want to kneel before her, that's your call. So yeah, General Zara. She's wearing like a highly polished steel plate armor. She has her long flowing red cloak. Her hair, she's like blonde hair, and it's like tied up on her head. Her skin is quite dark. She's not from this region. She's like very, very well tanned, and she's Yeah, I mean, maybe definitely you could ask your bard about her, but you know nothing except for her like steely eyes and the memory of her on her horse putting her helmet on. She has like winged helmet that she wears. Remember her putting her helmet on and like rallying the troops to leave.
Okay.
So you spot her, and she's heading towards the tent that they brought the cloaked figure into. You're witnessing like obviously there's a very important meeting between the general and this cloaked figure.
All right. So I return, having gained this knowledge, I return to where, or wait, you guys were going to have a conversation, weren't you, while I was doing this? I remember Blue Jay said, and it didn't this time,
Yeah.
that, and then I'll return.
I was going to say that I mentioned to Emberlash that this is kind of like a turning point. If we like indeed like confront these people, they're going to recognize us. And that we need, and if we fight these people in like any kind of disguise, Sinethel is going to realize that we're not exactly, well, I'm not exactly as helpless as I made myself out to be. So I'm basically trying to ask him his like I'm conversing about how we should approach this in terms of like these people know us, and Sinethel is gonna get like some information that we didn't give her if we confront them. So I want to while she's gone, I want to like talk to him about how we should handle this.
Well, as you said before, there are but 3 of us. We shouldn't make ourselves known at all. In fact, were there some unfortunate mishaps within their camp, it would be the best for thinning out their numbers. The elf believes us over these villains. Prepare her for their
Lies.
Yes, they will try and deceive her and keep what is hers. Turn us against each other.
How will we persuade her to not just confront them full of trust? How will we persuade her to let us try and thin their numbers, as it were? I don't think that she will be okay with uninstigated violence. Should we conceal our own actions from her? Does an elf like sleep? Do we know?
I don't know. Do swamp elves sleep? Do you have to sleep, or is it not so
We
much?
do sleep, and there's a reason that I have that bag of like the leather-bound pack of wet mud from my home territory, because you've noticed I put some on the bridge of my nose every time I go to bed.
Cool.
Perhaps while she is sleeping, we can scout out and thin their numbers without her knowledge.
I think, despite her naivete, she understands well the rules of nature. For us to employ stealth, cunning in the hunt is something she's probably familiar with, at least. And as we already know, they pose a great threat to the elves.
Indeed. As you will. I believe that you are right in saying that we need to thin their numbers before we ever approach them. I will prepare her for their deception, as it were, when she returns.
She is.
This is such a scheming conversation, and I love it.
Yes,
Your-
good.
Your words hold weight with her. And well, I think there is that I might be able to do. Call upon the power I feel in this place to help us.
Cool. Okay, so I guess then you return from having a look around in vulture form. Is there anything else you want to do before you change back? Sinethel?
No, I basically return and land again, and change back into, my regular elven form, and say, it looks like they're settling in. If we wait until dark, we can approach with the silhouette of the mountains behind us if we go around. In this place, there isn't much cover, so I think that's probably our best solution for getting a little closer.
Did you get an idea of their number?
30 or so. Maybe more,
That
maybe
is-
less.
that is many.
One strange visitor.
I do not think that we can take on 30 men alone, even with Emberlash's uncanny powers. How much do you want your acorns back? We may have to do things that are not necessarily the kindest. We met these men. They nearly killed me.
I don't want to be kind to them. They stole children. Well,
Emberlash and
you'll
I.
understand it, they stole children. They're not for being kind to.
Emberlash and I propose that we try and single out some members of their party to get rid of instead of confronting them face to face. Would you?
We still need to approach. And to
Indeed.
approach, we have to wait.
Cool.
Well, let us make our way through the plains behind the town.
In preparation for dark.
Cool. Okay. Let's grab a break here as the sun sets behind the desolate peaks, and we can come back and you can do your skulking in the dark when we return.
Skulking in the dark.
All right, we got lots more Dungeon World coming at you.